You may remember the slogan from the early 90s, beef, it's what's for dinner. And while more and more people are eating less red meat for health or environmental reasons, every year beef sales contribute about $2.5 billion to California's economy. May is California Beef Month, the perfect time to introduce some quick and easy ways to cook beef. Happy this morning to have food and lifestyle expert Parker Wallace joining me in studio right now. The studio has never smelled better. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
It smells good, and I heard a sizzle when you turn this steak. So let's start first with the best part of the steak, which is the sizzle. Sometimes I overcook it to get the sear, and then the inside is gray.
Right. So this is a hack that is my go-to because filet, I mean, it's hard to mess it up. It's like the Cadillac of beef cuts, right? So a lot of times, like mid-rare is really the ideal temperature.
Pink in the middle.
But if you cook it off in the oven for about 10 minutes, 12 minutes at about 350, 375, then you do the reverse sear. So you're going to caramelize it. So this is like, that's not a good look for steak,
not appetizing,
right? It's gray, it's no bueno. It's been in the oven for about 12 minutes. But this is where the sexy part comes in. I'm gonna flip this bad boy over, boom. You got all of that beautiful sear marks, the caramelization.
Did you put fat in the pan, or is this fat that's drained from your filet?
So, great question. I like to do a combination of a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of salted butter.
Okay.
And it really kind of just makes it melt in your mouth. So this is the deconstructed beef Wellington, and I want you to help me out here.
I will.
So take this as a mushroom pate.
Okay.
And we're gonna put that on the top of the beef.
Okay, just kind of smear it. Ooh,
smear it on top.
Got
There's
it.
no wrong way to do it.
Got it. Got it. A little umami flavors coming in. A lot of umami, really. Oops. Stay there, mushroom. Okay.
Okay. Then we're gonna drizzle a little bit of this marsala sauce on top.
This is like caramelized onion.
Caramelized shallots with a little bit of marsala.
Good.
And then we're gonna pop the puff pastry on top.
Which comes from the freezer section.
Yeah, super easy. The presentation is beautiful. It tastes great. I want you to give this a try and dip it into a little bit more of the marsala.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, let me do that. While I do this, you know, a lot of people only do Wellington on like the big holidays. This could be a weeknight meal.
Exactly, because it's just intimidating to have a huge tenderloin with all of the pastry. So let's talk about another hack that I love. And this is marinating it feels complicated, it can be difficult.
I can never get my schedule together because if it has to marinate for 4 hours, it's too late for me to start after work to get it on time for dinner.
And then you never know how long to do it. So I've taken New York strip.
One of my favorite cuts.
Right, and this is not quite as tender as the tenderloin.
Nor is it as expensive.
It comes from the short loin of the cow. So this is a great opportunity to marinate it after it's been cooked. And because it's been on the grill or it's been in the fry pan, it's basically opened up the whole cellular structure of the beef.
So it still sort of sinks in, if you will.
It's going to be sponging and absorbing all of that delicious flavor.
Do I put it in when it's warm, or do I wait for it to cool and then give it a bath?
Wait for it to rest for about 5 minutes. Pop it in while it's still kind of just sizzling there.
Okay.
And then let it go. You can cut your marinating time down to like 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, great, not 4 hours.
Exactly. And then I like to slice it out and then add some more of that gorgeous marinade on top. So you get all of that flavor. This is onions, green onions, jalapenos, some ginger, and just
delicious.
Really.
Let me take a bite. You have a little taster for
one
me here. I have to say, I mentioned that New York steak is my favorite. It's about half the price of a filet.
Exactly.
But it's still what I consider a nice steak. It has to do with where on the animal the steak comes from.
Absolutely. And think about it, like the skirt steak is really popular. I was going to get that today. And that comes from the diaphragm of the cow. So it's got a lot of connective tissue. So you want to be able to marinate that to break down that connective tissue. You can even put it in an Instant Pot. And it like melts it away.
Right. Oh,
and then it becomes really tender.
If you didn't tell me this wasn't filet, I would think it was. It's that tender. Very good. New York strip. Delicious. Okay, finally, we love meatloaf. I'm a big traditional meatloaf type. Not a single meatloaf I've made turns out like this.
Nacho Mama's meatloaf
No.
is how I like to call it. We have stuffed this with cheddar and we've wrapped it in bacon. Wow. Haven't used any breadcrumbs. I took 2 pieces of bread, soaked them in some milk, and then chopped that in. Put it into the mixture. Now, the key here for the perfect meatloaf, in my opinion, is a combination of chuck, which is going to have enough fat to make it really tender, and then the sirloin for the flavor. So you get that combination.
No pork in this?
No pork.
Straight beef?
Straight beef. And I like to add some onion and some peppers. And then so I'm going to show you how we create this little well in the middle of the meatloaf.
You make a little oblong rectangle type.
Yeah, you don't have to put it in a bread pan at all. So take some cheddar, or really
let me
your
help
favorite
you.
cheese, jalapeno cheddar, I love.
Pile it in there.
And then you're just going to take that other third of the meatloaf and put it on top.
Oh, I see. So then we would give it like a cap.
it caps
Got
it.
it.
Exactly.
And then the bacon, I put it on there at the beginning. I put it
very
toward the
beginning.
end. Okay.
Yep, and I like thick cut because then all of that flavor, that smokiness is gonna like just seep into the meatloaf and give it so much flavor.
Wow, delicious.
And then an hour and a half at 350, you're done. Look how gorgeous this is.
That looks good. Now, I think meatloaf has gotten a bad rap because I think we've all had so many bland, tasteless meatloafs.
Yeah,
What's the number one mistake people make with meatloaf?
I think that they use really lean beef, and you need to have that combination. That's why I like the chuck, because it's at least 20% fat, so you get that really good balance of flavor with fat, and it's going to stay moist and
delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, I
bacon
love
also
it.
gives it some more of that like texturized flavor too.
This and some mashed potatoes and some green beans.
We're eating up. All the boys in the studio are
good.
like,
I know.
when are we done so we can dive
like I
into
said,
this?
it's never smelled better. Real quick, do you advocate grinding your own meat in a food processor, or do you think buy it pre-ground from the grocery store, which is what a lot of people do?
Who has time for that?
Okay, good.
We go to the grocery store.
You give me your blessing.
I
Okay.
would love to. Another trick, taking some bacon, if you put it in the food processor, fold that into the the body of the meatloaf.
Got it.
Or the burger.
Delicious.
Yeah.
What a breakfast I've had. I want you to have the same thing, but probably for dinner tonight. So we have all of Parker Wallace's recipes for you, especially for this Not Your Mama's meatloaf, waiting for you right now up on our website, which is KTVU.com. Head there, you'll get the full recipe info. Thank you so much for joining me, Parker.
Thank you so much. And
let's chow down.
A resource for me, Be Fabulous is a great app.
Be Fabulous.
Be Fabulous.
I got it. Let's Be Fabulous as we dig into this.
When I need some inspiration, but